Hello and welcome to today's broadcast. I welcome you whether you're joining us live or on our rebroadcast. Please note all of these video discussions are uploaded to YouTube and Facebook so that you can view them at your convenience. Today we are going to be talking about intermittent fasting and your failure tolerance. So welcome. I always ask that you jump in on the conversation with us, whether you're joining us live or on the rebroadcast. You can just use the comment section. Please take a second to introduce yourself. If you are a graduate in one of our courses, I always ask that you list that as well so I could recognize you for being one of our graduates. And then if you have any questions or comments regarding our discussion for today, always feel free to leave those in the comment section as well. I'll come back and readdress those at the end of today's discussion. So like I said, today we are going to talk about intermittent fasting and our failure tolerance. So failure tolerance is simply what we accept as the comfort zone for allowing failure to happen in our life. And oftentimes failure is very easy to justify or to tag as the reason why or the excuse why we're not successful at something when we depend on someone else for our own personal success. So we go through life not thinking for ourselves and waiting for someone to hand us a blueprint or a detailed to-do list of how we are supposed to be successful for ourselves. And I see that a lot in the community of or just the industry of diet and exercise and some of the uncomfortable modes or seasons that we have to go through in order to achieve a success in something that's new for us. And so I want to take a second and I want you to visualize, whether you've had your own kids or you've seen kids go through this process, what happens to a child or a kid when they're learning something new. And let's use, for instance, like tying their shoes. So what we do generally as adults is we model how it's supposed to be done, and then we say, okay, now go and do it. And there's a level of discomfort and frustration as this child is learning something new and going through this learning process. And oftentimes they find their own little finesse or technique in figuring out how to get their shoes tied. When they get to the point of enough practice and enough experimentation, and more specifically, enough failing at something, and they finally get to the success point, the sheer delights and relief that they have by feeling successful at something gives them the confidence to go on and now suddenly be able to tie their shoes for the rest of their lives. As simple as that seems, that is the same philosophy and practice we should have with doing something like intermittent fasting or incorporating some changes in our life because what we are currently doing is not working. So failure tolerance is something that you have to really define for yourself and then determine at what point you are going to get past what is uncomfortable so that you can get through failure and see success. We as women have been conditioned to not think for ourselves when it comes to nutrition because of diets and perfectly planned out calendared systems for how we're supposed to feed ourselves and recipe books and meal plans and the marketing that goes behind those things. We have stopped thinking. And because we have stopped thinking, it's really easy for us to transfer blame onto someone else when we fail. So if I were to start a diet program or buy into someone's meal plan and it didn't work for me, it can't be my fault because they told me what I need to do. So therefore, if it didn't work for me, it's not me, it's them. Their program failed, which will lead me to seeking out a new program that will hopefully work for me. And what I can tell you from my experience as a coach in this industry for a very long time is that you can only find success in what it is you do for yourself. And that means that you have to slow down and consider what it is that you're about to embark on. That is the premise of what we teach here in this community and what I teach in my Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course and in my Midlife to Mindset Shift course. I ask you to think, what have you done before that has worked for you? And what are you willing today to do to make things work for you as well? And I make you think for yourself. Because if I tell you what to do, and I tell you exactly what to eat, and I tell you when to do those things, and something in your life that I haven't planned for you or haven't predetermined falls into the mix, you won't know what to do, and it will be really easy for you to blame me and my plan and not your inability to get through your own failure tolerance. So we have to look at this very personally, and we have to look at this very seriously, and we have to start taking ownership and responsibility for our own well-being. We cannot rely on someone else to make us successful at anything. We can't have it be at our relationships. We can't have it be with our finances. We can't have it be with our home life, how we're raising our kids, how we're feeding ourselves, how we're taking care of ourselves. That's our own personal responsibility. And we have to start thinking, how is what you are doing working for you? Just because it's working for Susie down the street, or that lady you see on the internet, or that guy you see at the gym, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And if you try to implement what they're doing word for word, you are most likely going to fail. And when you fail at that, what's your default? Are you going to go back to what you were doing before? So many times when intermittent fasting becomes difficult for women because it's physically uncomfortable or it's something that's new, they often default back to the other extreme of living an unhealthy life. Like, just because intermittent fasting didn't work for you doesn't mean ho-hos and a bottle of wine is going to suddenly start working for you. Because you were seeking out something else means that the thing you were doing before wasn't working either. And if we change the way we think about failure, and we change our failure tolerance, and we start to really assume our own personal responsibility for our failure, we will find that we are becoming more successful with everything that we want to do in our life. I say this all the time. Nutrition is not complicated. We complicate it because we want it to be easy. We want it to be a quick fix. We want it to be something we don't have to think about. Not having to think about nutrition is why we shove everything in the microwave, or we're pulling everything from the freezer, or we're peeling cellophane off of things, or opening up packages, right? And those things haven't worked well for us. It is not difficult to put together a nutrient-dense meal if you think about what dense nutrition is. The problem is we've stopped thinking, and we've had this new failure tolerance. It is so easy to pass the blame off on someone else because they promised us that their thing was going to work. So therefore, if what we just bought into doesn't work for us, it's because they broke their promise, not because we did anything wrong, and then we move on to the next quick fix. We really have to slow down and start assuming responsibility for the decisions that we are making and how it is we are taking care of ourselves. Trust me when I tell you that everything good in life that you achieve is work. Everything good in life that you achieve is the result of making sacrifices. There is not a diet plan or nutritional lifestyle or a way of living out there that will allow you to eat and or do whatever it is you want and have the results that you were hoping for. If someone is telling you that, they are lying to you. You cannot eat brownies and drink wine and be happy and healthy and have the body that you dream of having postmenopausal or as an aging woman. That is just a flat out lie. It is not going to happen for you. You can, however, make choices that will lead you on a path where you can look and feel your best and live your life most authentically, because you're going to start to think about how food is interacting with your own body's chemistry. And when something doesn't make you look the way you want to look or feel the way you want to feel, then you just make a conscious decision. How many times are you going to allow that to happen in your life? And when are you going to draw the line and say that you deserve more? That's when you know that your failure tolerance has made a shift, because you're no longer going to push the blame on someone else as a result for you not being successful or happy with the way that you're living your life. You're going to take responsibility for yourself. You need someone to guide you, and you do need someone to support you, and you do need someone or some way to have a foundation to follow. But you should always think for yourself and never follow anything blindly. We deserve better than that. We know that we are also different, but we are ending up in the same place at this season and time in life. What we need to do is figure out what makes us tick, what makes us work. There's so many new diet trends on the market today. There's the carnivore diet. And if you follow and you listen to anyone who's thriving in the carnivore diet, you think that that's going to work for you. You can follow the plant-based phenomenon right now. And there's so much information out there about living a plant-based diet that, man, I should only have plants in my life. You can follow the diet where you put things on a scale and you measure everything, or you containerize everything, or you phase things in and out of your life. And there are going to be people who swear that that's the only way to live, but it might not be the way for you. You have to take into consideration what makes you tick and what works for you, and most importantly, what makes you happy. You cannot sustain a lifestyle following someone else's plan that makes you feel miserable about the life that you are living. So we have to consider where it is we're failing, why it is we're failing, and why are we tolerating that? Why are we continuing to live our life pushing failure off onto someone else and blaming someone else, when we really should be reflecting back on ourselves and figuring out, what can we do to tweak some things? What can we do with our own internal dialogue and those signs and signals that our body is sending us? And if we pay attention to that, will we be able to make informed decisions for ourselves and then no longer need to depend on someone else to tell us how we should take care of ourselves? It's okay to have guides. It's okay to take in information. It's okay to have a support system, but you cannot depend on someone else to tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. And there is no one correct way to fuel your body with nutrition. There are people who thrive in a carnivore type diet. There are people who are thriving in a ketogenic diet. There are people who are thriving in the plant-based community, but that might not be you. And you won't know if that's you or not until you really start experimenting with some things and go back and listen to the signs and signals that your body is sending you, and then take ownership of your successes and question why it is you might be failing at some things. This should be the simplest way to live your life. And if you're struggling, it's probably because you're putting too much emphasis on someone else's opinion about what it is that you are doing for yourself. The only thing that matters is that you wake up every single day looking and feeling your best and creating a lifestyle that is most authentic and will stand the test of time. You should not be a chameleon in the way that you're living your life and changing what you do to please other people. The authenticity from your life comes from you and the people that are closest to you, and no one else should matter in that. And once you really stand firm in that and put looking and feeling your best as your biggest priority, then that failure tolerance will definitely shift, and you will start accepting what it is your body is telling you as your guide, and you will not need anyone else to tell you how to take care of yourself. This is exactly what we teach in the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. We have women in our community that will profess to that and know that once they figured out how to take care of themselves, then all of the issues that they had with food in the past, a lot of our body images shift as well, because we no longer worry about the external aspect of what's going on in our life, and we're focusing on how we are feeling internally. And trust me, when you feel good internally, everything externally will change for you as well. So much healing goes on for sure as we start going through this process of taking care of ourselves and listening to the signs and signals that our body is sending us. And I hope this helps you. If you feel like you are running around trying to chase the perfect thing down that's going to work for you, or you're so confused because one person is saying this and another person is saying that, and you don't know what to do, the best advice I can give you is start implementing some things, test some things out, figure out why it is things aren't working for you, and then justify that. Is it not working for you because it doesn't work for you? Or is it not working for you because maybe you're making some tweaks in some other areas of your life that are compromising the possibility of something good working for you? There's so many factors that come into play. The best thing you can do is start listening to your body and then creating that internal dialogue so you know how to speak to yourself and answer your own questions, and you don't have to depend on someone else. I'm going to go through and answer all the questions and comments on Facebook, and then I'll jump in on YouTube and answer yours as well. So if you haven't left a comment yet, now is the time to do so. And then I would love for you to share with me some things that maybe you are failing at, that you think that if you made some tweaks or maybe started listening to yourself and trusted yourself as a guide, that you might be able to find some success as well. Diane, it's always good to have you here from Pennsylvania. Amy's here as well. Marie is here from April 2019. Andrea, good to see you from Louisiana. Brenda from Michigan, July 2019 grad. You are a godsend. Love this lifestyle. I feel my best when fasting 20 hours. Yeah, I think we all do. It's magic for sure. So thanks for trusting the process and testing some things out. Amy is here from Oregon. Kim is here from Wisconsin. Started IF this past spring. And then Susan is here. So relevant to what I'm struggling with. Yes, I know, because I went through the same process as well. And it's so easy to push the blame onto someone else when it seems like everybody else is successful with this. Why isn't it that I'm finding success? And oftentimes it's because we're not really paying attention to ourselves, and we're so focused on the outside factor that's the influence. And we really need to make sure that the influence stays internal with us. And then think about the learning process. You have to go through failures to get to success. As horrible as that sounds, or as daunting as that might sound to some, that's just the truth of how life works. Nothing that is worth receiving is easy. And if it's easy, then it really isn't as rewarding as we thought it would be. So there is a learning curve. There are some days that are going to be tough, but if you understand what is going on with your body and what you will get at the end, it is so worth the journey. And oftentimes we get so held up on what our own brain is telling us that we forget to enjoy the process and the journey. And that's really just cheating yourself out of the gift of what you can have for sure. So we have to keep that internal dialogue turned on. We have to make sure that we are assessing the failures correctly, and that we take a little bit of responsibility ourselves and don't so easily push the blame externally onto someone else. Okay, so I'm going to jump over here to YouTube and welcome everyone to answer any questions or comments. Miss Shasha LaRue from Philadelphia, 53-year-old IF keto woman, welcome for sure. Brenda from our July and August 2019 class, I needed this topic, working on my mindset. Yes, mindset is the best tool that you can have for anything in your life that you want to find success with. How you think about things, the mind maps that you're creating in your own internal mental dialogue will determine your success or failure, because we can justify everything. We can write off everything. We can accept anything we want to accept. And how we form that conversation in our own mind is really going to be the defining factor of where we end up. So make sure that you have that that worked out in your mindset as well. Jackie, best wishes and happy Wednesday from the UK. Thank you so much. Holly, September 2019 grad IF class and recent grad of the Mindset Shift class, Life Changing. Awesome, Holly. Make sure you check in your community today. I'm going to be uploading some new content for you guys as well. And then Tina, happy Wednesday from the Seattle area. Carrie, good to have you with us. October 2019 grad, when is your next Mindset Shift course? We will launch it again. I believe it's January 6th, right, Michael? I think it's the first Monday of January. Please make sure you are on our email list, because we have some really amazing surprises. All of you jumping into the Mindset Shift with us in January, as well as our December IF class. So make sure you're on our email list so you don't miss out on those great things that we have to offer you guys as well. And then Grace from South Dakota, interesting topic. Thanks so much. Jackie, best wishes and happy Wednesday from the UK. I think I read that one already. Tina, happy Wednesday from Seattle area. Carrie, October grad. I already answered that one. Viviana, California, currently in your November class, struggling but looking forward to positive changes. You've mentioned better sleep and improvement in incontinence. That would be a blessing. So Viviana, you should be struggling a little bit because you're at that point where you're testing your own failure tolerance, right? So it's uncomfortable, your body's going through some chemistry changes, and you're gonna go, oh, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. Trust me, you'll see all the women in this community will tell you they're graduates and they are living their best life. So you have to get through the struggle bus. The struggle bus only lasts for a few days, and then it's time and consistency, and you will get to that place where you'll be the graduate coming back and talking about how this has been so life-changing. So this is not one of those things that you can put the blame on someone else saying it's not working for me. You have to get through it. You have to trust the content in your class. You have to test it out for yourself. You have to come back tomorrow and do the same thing. And then you get to that point where you start to realize how amazing you're going to look and feel. And then you just create the authenticity to back that up. So you are almost there, girlfriend. In stress incontinence will get better because you will reduce the inflammation in your body. That just takes care of itself. And then the sleep improvement will come as well when you balance out those hormones. So you are on your way, girlfriend. You have to be patient with this one for sure. Linda from Cali, May 2019 grad, you are so right. Success depends on accountability. The information you provide works. I feel so much happier now. Fantastic. I love hearing that. Teresa, July 2018 grad, still following this way of life and doing great. 50 pounds gone. That is awesome. Congratulations, girlfriend. Janet, this is so true. I tried so many diets and gave up because I didn't accept responsibility for my choices. Diana and this community have supported me in my journey. It's up to me and I feel awesome. Yes, and there's a sense of pride too, right? When you figure something out, when you establish the ground rules, when you set up the guidelines, when you get through the rough days, you have no one but yourself to thank. So I don't take credit for your success. I guided you. You made the choices. You decided to show up for yourself every day. I've just provided information and guidance. You're ultimately the one that has to make the decision. Keep making those decisions that are going to move you in the correct direction, and then you can thank yourself for the success that you're going to have for sure. So I'm so happy to hear that things are going well. Christy, September 2018 grad, taking a trip this weekend and feeling confident about the flexibility that I can just jump back in when I return. Love your sweater, by the way. Feels like summer here in California. Oh, it feels like summer. That must, well, it does feel warm here.
The last couple of days have been warm.
It's warm but gray and wet here, so it's really confusing to us. We vacillate between the heater and the air conditioning in our house. Terry, February 2019 grad, still going strong. You are 100% correct. Time and consistency, down 22 pounds and feeling great. Terry, congratulations. That is amazing. We know that we lose weight when our body is healed and our hormones are balanced out. So the weight loss that you guys are reporting is a huge win because you've done the work to get yourself there. It's always the last thing that happens. So the fact that all of you are coming back saying that you're having some great weight loss success proves that you were putting in the time and consistency. So I'm super proud of you for sure. Jackie, hello. Carrie Ann, thank you for teaching me how to listen to my own body, increasing my awareness of how food affects me. I have significantly reduced pain in my body from this. Fantastic. So remember, pain limits us. It doesn't just limit us physically because of the immobility that we have, but pain limits us emotionally and mentally. It's exhausting to be in pain. So if we can reduce inflammation and we can reduce pain, we become more active and more present in our life. If we're physically active and physically present in our life, then we're mentally and emotionally present as well. Everything is connected to one another. So if one part of your life is out of whack, that usually means other parts are out of whack as well. Let's get them back in alignment so we show up in every aspect of our life.
Holly said you missed her question.
Oh, I did? Let me see. Where is it at?
She had a body fat question. Holly.
Okay, question. My body fat level is way too high. Would it be better to ratchet up extended or prolonged fasting for quicker results? It's pretty easy. Usually do a 20-hour fast now. So I say yes and no. So if you're not consistent with your fasting and you're not consistent with what it is you're doing in your feasting, so ratcheting up prolonged fasting, the results will only last as long as your consistency lasts. So if you're pretty consistent with fasting and feasting, and you feel really confident in that fasted state, and you're super confident about what it is that you're doing in your feasting window, then yeah, extended fasting will definitely help you burn off some of that unwanted body weight. But realistically, 20 hours of fasting and really conscious feasting should also do it. If you're still struggling with body fat, what I would question more is, what are you doing in your feasting window? Are you consuming too much protein? Are you having too many extra carbs? Are those fun little filler foods still in your feasting window? If you haven't figured that out yet, then all prolonged fasting is going to do for you is give you a quick fix. And just like a diet program, as soon as it ends, you're going to put it back on. So I would say make sure that you're really good and very honest with what you're doing in your feasting window. If you feel like you are and you're still stuck, then definitely prolonged fasting will help with that. And then what we're doing in our midlife mindset shift course will help you as well, because we start going into some of that in greater detail for sure. Okay, so I answered that one. So now where was I at? Christy Rogers, September 2018 grad, taking a trip this weekend. Okay, did that one. It makes me happy to hear people commenting who are still being successful in the long term. Thanks for sharing your all. Yeah, so Maz Barino, I think your name is, it's because we're creating a lifestyle. Borneo. This is not a diet. So there's no end date, there's no check-in date, there's no weigh-in date, there's no whether you succeeded at this or you failed at that based on what other people are doing. You have the power to make decisions about the lifestyle that you want to live from now to forever. And so the consistency that a lot of these women and the results that they are seeing is because they're making their own lifestyle choices. And it's really easy to stick to something when you're being authentic and true to yourself. And that's exactly what we teach here in this community and in our course. So thank you for noticing that and commenting. Cree something, I've lost a lot of body fat with IF and now I'm struggling to reach the full satisfied point when I eat. Do you think it could depend on low level of leptin? How do I heal it? If you're not feeling satisfied when you're eating, you might need to change the components of what you're eating, probably a higher fat or more nutrient dense diet maybe. Masperino, November 2019, just getting started from Dallas, Texas. You're just down the road, girlfriend. Terry, February 2019 grad, still going strong. You are 100% correct. Time and consistency, down 22 pounds and feeling great. That's awesome. Jackie, May 2019. Carrie Ann, thank you for teaching me how to listen to my own body, increasing my awareness of how food affects me. I've significantly reduced body pain. Okay, I think I read all those, right, Michael?
No.
Oh, no? Okay. Shelly, September grad, midlife, thankful for continual truth and live calls to keep us committed and aware. If you have not taken the course, stop putting it off. Do it. It will pay off. Thank you so much for saying that, Shelly. Yeah, I put the power back in your own hands. So, this is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing. The course is just a 3-week opportunity to practice and implement and test what works for you. And then you come back here and you join us for these discussions, and that's how you stay consistent with it. So thank you so much for saying that for sure. Janet, finishing mindset course, which was just what I needed. Checking blood and adjusting food choices, found I was eating too much protein, adjusting and thriving. Yay, I'm glad you figured that out. And that is a personal thing. There are a lot of people who need more protein than others, and so they don't do well on a low protein diet. Oftentimes for us women, when we are feeling like we're frustrated with the body fat that we have or the healing speed that we're going through, it usually is because we have too much protein in our feasting window, and just making some nice adjustments and then testing some things out will make some pretty big payoffs for you. So I'm glad that you figured that out for yourself, Janet. Way to go. Holly, question got skipped. Body fat still too high. Okay, we did that one. Elizabeth, how important is sticking to a fasting schedule, 8 p.m. to 12 p.m.? How important is the fasting window, 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. versus 16 hours fasting, whether it starts at 8 p.m.? Okay, the hours in which you fast, the start and stop times on the clock don't matter. What matter is the time in which you are in a fasted state. So the fasted state is where the healing comes. The time of the day that you fast should be dependent on what life you have. So I never say change your life for a fasting window. Make sure that you're adjusting your fasting windows to accommodate your life. And when you do that, you'll be more successful. So I hope that is the question you were asking and that I was able to answer that for you. And I think that's everything we have on Facebook. So what is your failure tolerance? When you're not successful at something, is it easy for you to pass the blame onto someone else? And do you ever take the time to debrief something and figure out maybe some choices that you are making, or some inconsistencies that you had, or some things that you used as excuses were really not good enough reasons for why it is that you failed at something? And I think sometimes when we debrief and take a step back and take some personal ownership to the choices that we're making, we will realize that it was probably us just selling ourselves short a little bit. And that if we go through some tough days and keep practicing and keep figuring out how to tie that shoe, when we get it tied to the point where it works for us, we will be proud and we will feel successful, and then we can have this be something that we have that will stand the test of time for us. And that's what you hear from a lot of these women in this community. The women who've lost 50 pounds or 22 pounds or 30 pounds did not do it overnight. They did not do it in a quick fix sort of way. Most often, what I ask the women in this community to do is don't think about weight loss at all, and think about healing your body and waking up every day wanting to look and feel your best, while doing that in an authentic way. And then before you know it, you've lost the weight. So you take the focus off weight, you put the focus on healing, and then before you know it, the weight just starts to fall off. So I hope this will help anyone who's feeling like they are failing at something. Remember, failing at something usually just means that we have become very unconscious and we've put the responsibility onto someone else. Come back to what it is that you feel like you're failing at. Take some personal ownership and responsibility for it. Consciously go through the process and the steps that you're trying to be successful at. Make the tweaks where you need it, and then reevaluate if that thing is working for you. More often than not, you'll find that we are the ones messing things up. And if we get out of our own way and just trust the process, we will eventually find success. Our intermittent fasting for today's Age of Women course for December is open for registration. My November students got an amazing surprise when they registered for November. We have the same thing in store for our December class as well. Make sure you are on our email list so that when we start launching our registration bonuses, you will be notified. There were so many people who got caught off because we do have a very firm cutoff date. Don't let that be you for December. I promise you, everyone in this community who wants to have an amazing 2020, we are going to give you the tools necessary to make that happen. And then all you need to do is show up and start thinking for yourself. And I promise you, if you implement the tools and the guidelines that we provide for you, you will have the best 2020 and you won't even know what hit you. So make sure you're on our email list. We want to keep you in the loop of all the things that we have to offer for you coming up in the next month or so. Okay, I am going to check off for now. We'll see you Friday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, I believe, right? We're going to be here Friday? Yeah, where Michael and I will come together and we'll talk about something for our community. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, you guys. If you have any questions, always feel free to come back around and put them in the comment section.